So you've probably seen this logo somewhere or this cool guy and you're wondering what the fuck is SCP? Well, this apparently happens to a lot of people, so today I'll explain everything from what SCP itself actually means, to what things they deal with and how they haven't been raided by the UN yet, or why they babysit giant immortal reptiles. Anyways, let's get right into it. The SCP Foundation is a large organization that operates secretly in the style of Area 51 and is dedicated to containing anything that breaks reality or disturbs ordinary life. Now this can be anything from a hat that turns you invisible to a creepy statue that snaps snacks. It doesn't matter what it is, but if it's alien-like, they will get their hands on it as fast as possible. Like their name says, their job is to secure, contain and protect, which means they are the good guys, right? Well, it's kind of complicated. They do many great good things, but also many morally terrible decisions, so I'll let you answer this question for yourself at the end of this video. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, SCPs. What are they, why are they, and how are they categorized? SCPs are anomalies/aliens that this whole organization is built around. They're split into three main categories plus some bonus ones. Firstly, we have safe SCPs, which are well safe. But don't get me wrong, you can still very much die if you fuck around with them, but if you put them in a box, they'll just stay there and won't try to break out or cause trouble. Next are Euclid SCPs. Now this is the most common category for an SCP. It basically means that they are very much capable of causing mass death or destruction, but most of them are completely harmless if you're following the rules for containing them. Like for example, sure, this SCP is immortal and will rip anybody who looks at him into shreds, but that's why they simply put him in a well-guarded metal box which is many meters underground. As he won't do anything unless looked at, this guy is now practically a safe class SCP. Now this is the case with almost all Euclid SCPs, but the official definition is that they're classified as Euclid if their behavior becomes unpredictable once contained, which then leads to bigger potential resource needs. Plus, if an SCP is sentient and capable of thoughts, they usually always end up in this category as well. And the last main rating is Keter. Now these SCPs are just straight up death. If you fuck around with them, you will die in like 2 seconds. If you put them in a box, they will break out and kill you eventually. These SCPs almost always require constant maintenance, supervision and special procedures. But even with all of that, it's not guaranteed people won't die. Besides that, there's a few other classes which are important but much less common. Thaumiel SCPs are SCPs which the Foundation uses specifically for containing other SCPs. Apollonian SCPs are those which cannot be contained and are expected to breach at any moment. Many of these are also capable of ending the world, so yeah, don't fuck around with them. Neutralized SCPs are those that have been destroyed/killed permanently. And Archon SCPs are SCPs that theoretically can be contained but are left uncontained for moral or logistics reasons. Now you may be wondering, how does an organization manage to handle so many different and unique crazy aliens? Well, a good part of it is just hopes and prayers, but their staff and laboratory organization is equally as important. Let's start from the bottom of the barrel of their staff, the Class D. You see, the Foundation needs test threads to learn how to best contain the SCPs or to just generally experiment with them. So they just pull up to the cells of death row prisoners and are like, yo, come and work with us for 60 days and if you succeed you'll be freed, plus get a new identity. It sounds like a dream opportunity until you realize that you'll be stuck in worse cells than the ones you had in prison. Not to mention that 99% of Class D either get ripped apart by an SCP, shot in the head, or get their femur broken and their skin rocketed with the whole facility, so an oily black man can come and kidnap you to his torture pocket dimension. Only like 1% of Class D actually get released or recruited to the Foundation for some odd ultra rare reason. After these poor fellas, we have security personnel. These are the guys that walk around in cool armors and guns. But despite this, they are in reality completely powerless against most SCPs and are just there to keep the Class D in check, plus make sure no spies sneak in or whatever. They can at best delay the escape of SCPs or improve the morale of scientists due to their aura, but if shit hits the fan, you most certainly wanna speed dial the MTF, aka the Mobile Task Force Squad. As their name suggests, these guys are the SWAT team/army of the SCP Foundation. But what makes them so powerful is the fact that almost all of its members are ex-military elites or special forces. Not to mention they use one of the best equipments available on Earth, many of which is sometimes created using the powers of SCPs. Now there's many different Mobile Task Force Squads and all of them have their unique purpose. Like for example, there's Alpha 1, which is the personal hit squad of the leaders of the Foundation. There's the most well-known Nine-Tailed Fox, which responds to almost all general threats, but then there's also Tau 5, which is a small team composed of immortal robo-samurais. So yeah, there's basically all kinds of squads, all specialized for unique tasks. Anyways, all of this cool bad boy stuff aside, next up we have the scientists. Usually they are ordinary people that were straight A students or had really specific skill sets, so the Foundation was like, yo, do you wanna work with us for a good paycheck or will we have to wipe your memory of this conversation? And to most people, after spending half of your life being a nerd and reading books, working in a top secret facility is like a dream come true. But of course, the Foundation can't just bring in college graduates and have them access the most brutal and crazy files right away, which is why there's multiple tiers of being an SCP employee. Access Tier 0 is the most basic allowed information about the SCP or the operation. It's usually handed out so the test subjects or janitors don't die in like 5 seconds. Access Tier 1 is basically the same as 0 but is more detailed, plus gives generally more information that is designated for security or technical personnel that are working there. Tier 2 is intended for forever scientists or agents. It tells you enough so you can experiment and work with it, but keeps the more valuable or dangerous information hidden. Because realistically, you don't want a mentally unstable nerd to know how about this SCP can kill your whole family and cut off your balls if you say its name 3 times in a row. Access to your tree is the highest level most researchers will achieve and is given to senior staff that have been in the Foundation long enough to prove their mental endurance or dedication. So it's basically just some small but solid information DLC that access tier 2 employees get as an reward. Now tier 4 is the highest tier anyone can achieve and is reserved for high tier positions like containment site managers or elite task force commanders. This tier allows you to access the juiciest of information, which is very often essential for your work or operation, but isn't just safe enough to tell everybody about, even if it could prevent their death. Tier 5 is only for the members of the O5 Council. They are the top dog dictators of the Foundation. No information is secret to them and they use it to keep things running smoothly or to exploit it for themselves. There's only 13 of the O5 members currently, but it's rumored multiple people share the same numbers. But we can be for sure as their identities and the way they operate are a bigger secret than the Foundation itself. They're basically the ultimate Illuminati of the world that have subhuman power since they use the SCPs for themselves, or maybe they didn't. What I said is widely believed and is secretly documented, but like I said, it's impossible to know for sure. Now there's other positions than the ones I just named, but in the end all of the heavy lifting really comes down to the MTF. They locate the SCP, somehow capture them despite usually not knowing anything about them, and then when some nerd accidentally sets it free, they have to pull off with a helicopter and capture it again in an underground facility that's usually built like a maze. Anyways, if you've played any SCP game, then you've probably seen a paper like this, or at least something close to it. These are the SCP's very own files. They include its subject class, the clearance level required for reading the file, though often many parts of the files are redacted unless you're a higher level. It also includes its containment procedures and description. It's basically a short summary of an SCP with step-by-step instructions on how to survive it. Pretty neat, right? Well, not really. What if everything goes to shit even with all of these papers? Yeah, despite everybody here being the most professional staff on Earth, even one slip up or mistake can cause an SCP to breach its containment. This is especially common during testing with them as their properties are still not fully known. Now one SCP breaching containment is pretty manageable, but if these containment breaches spread throughout the facility, then this is what we call a site-wide containment breach. AKA, let me translate, it means that you are completely cooked. When this happens, it very fastly turns into a battle royale. Class D are shot on sight, scientists follow evacuation protocols, but whoopsie, it seems that a super intelligent AI SCP has locked down all of the doors and now we're about to be turned into ash by an SCP that's literally a walking fire. Yeah, if a containment breach happens, your best odds are running for your life before exits become inaccessible, or just hide and pray that the MTF pull up to the facility as soon as possible. This is probably the most survivable option, but let's say you finally hear the heavy footsteps of soldiers and are relieved to be saved, only to be shot in the face or kidnapped. Because funny plot twist, the people who arrived aren't MTF but instead are an elite terrorist group also known as the Chaos Insurgency. Yup, if you thought dealing with aliens was bad enough for the Foundation, they also have to deal with these so-called groups of interest. These are other independent groups around the globe that are aware of the existence of SCPs and are trying to get their hands on them. Some do it to just straight up kill the SCPs, while some are doing it to try and take over the world. The Foundation is generally much better equipped and stronger than all of them, but that doesn't stop them from raiding their sites or conducting other small operations with guerrilla-like tactics. Anyways, luckily for you, if you happen to survive one of these containment breaches and don't wanna have nightmares for the rest of your life, you can be administered some amnestics. Amnestics are a drug/medicine created by the Foundation that erases your memory. Now, depending on the type of amnestic you take, it can erase anything from the last few hours to like half of your life's memory. You can probably see why these are not only useful but are basically essential for their existence. Oops, did a newly discovered SCP just destroy half of the village whilst the other half just stared and watched? Womp womp, time to give them all some amnestics and say that like a meteor hit their neighbors or something, I don't know. Oops, an SCP just slaughtered half of the facility. Most of the employees will probably piss themselves forever and will just quit their job on the spot. So they just erase their memory of such containment breach and pretend like nothing ever happened. But hell, if an employee wants to quit despite the Foundation's magical medicine, then no worries, you're free to quit at any time. We'll just kind of have to wipe your memory of every single second you spent working with us. So yeah, these amnestics are essentially carrying the Foundation, as without them they need to spend a lot of money on paying therapy for their employees, or they would also have to execute countless of people because they saw something they shouldn't have. So in conclusion, is the Foundation the good guys? Well, obviously yes. If they didn't contain these creatures, the world would explode in like 2 seconds. Sure, they don't have the most morally right ways, but sometimes sacrifices need to be made when you're dealing with crazy powerful aliens. Now this was a surface level of explaining the Foundation, so if you're interested in me covering all kinds of crazy task forces or even SCPs in detail, then make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments. And in the meantime, feel free to check out some of my other SCP SL content. Anyways, thank you a lot for watching and I'll see you next time.